Thank you. Okay, everyone, could we start now?
Yes, please.
Yes, Pak Daran.
Okay, thank you very much. And welcome back to Literacy Talk Part 2. And before we discuss about the great topic today, I will say hello to Ibu Ines or Ibu. Sorry, do you hear me?
Yes, very clear, Pak Daran.
Okay, I'm so sorry. And good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ibu Puji Astuti, PhD, as the lecturers of doctoral program of Universitas Negeri Semarang. And everybody, Thank you very much for joining us in this session, part 2. The topic today is the rules of literature in constructing new literacies. Okay, thank you. Well, before we discuss about this topic, the proverb says, unknown and love. So let me introduce for the best speakers for today. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Darin Zuhri, but most of people or most of my friends call me Darren. So I hope you, if you want to ask question, please call me by Darren. Thank you. Okay, well, I would like to introduce for the speakers, best women speakers here. For number 1 is Ibu Yuvita MPD. Ibu Yuvita MPD is a lecturer of English Education Departments of Pancasakti University, Tegal. Then she also concerned on teaching research methodology. And not only that, she has many achievements. One of them is she is a head of English Education Department in her institution, Pancasakti University, Tegal. Great. And Ibu Yuvita will explain about literature as a foundation to new literacies. And then the next speaker, second speaker, we have Ibu Kadet Sonia Pistayanti MPD from Singaraja, Bali. Everyone knows Bali. It is more popular than Jakarta. Bali is the most beautiful city in the world. Okay, everyone knows that. And okay, she is teaching in Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha in English Language Education Department. And also, we have to know that she has published many books, such as Stories of Anthology, Perempuan Tanpa Nama, The Art of Literature, The Art of Drama, and many others. Really, I am interested in one of your book, Ibu Kade, such as such as Stories Anthology Perempuan Tanpa Nama. I think first questions for you, for instance, how to get this book? How to get this book?
Okay, I can send you later.
Okay, is that
Thank
free
you.
from me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
And then Ibu Kadet Sonia will present about this, from poetry to global literacies. And then the third speaker is Ibu Lulut Widyaningrum. She is a strong woman, I think. And then in this question, they will clarify or explain about the power of story on literacy's development. It is great topic, I think. And then she also is a lecturer in UIN, Wali Songo. And then she concerned on many subjects or many courses, such as on critical discourse analysis, teacher professional development, and continuous professional development. And then the last speaker will be presented by Ibu Ika Yanti Ziska. She has title about what's that? What we call about the comic, yeah. And her institution is Universitas Muhammadiyah Parepare, South Sulawesi. Is that right, Ibu Ika? South Sulawesi?
Yes, Pak
Hello?
Daren.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. And also, she is a leader of language center in her institution, Universitas Muhammadiyah Parepare, Sulawesi. Okay, I think it's about the curriculum fitness of the speakers as simple as possible. Because if I tell you the long CV or curriculum vitae, we have a limited time. We have a limited time again. So for management of time, management of times, I will give you a reason why we choose this topic. The role of literature in constructing new literacies. Because we know that nowadays it is moved up by stakeholders in education, such as for leaders, for teachers, students of university, and also everyone in educational system. So, but in this case, we have to underline two main points here. First is literature, and the second one is new literacies. Again, we have to understand about 2 points here, 2 terms. One is literature, and the second one is new literacies. But I don't want to give you the clear explanations of that. So I call for the first speaker to explain about as a foundation, literature as a foundation to new literacies. So let me call Ibu Yufita for giving best explanations of this topic. Time is yours, Ibu Yufita.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Darin, for the time. Good afternoon, Ibu Ines. Good afternoon, my friends, my colleagues, and all of the audience. So allow me to share my screen first. All right. Literature as foundation to the new literacy. So I'm going to talk about this one. So of course, the word literature is not something new for us. Okay, we know that literature is as old as the human languages. So we know that when we talk about literature, We talk also about the culture, then from one generation to the next generation, then it is usually in a verbal communication. So what is actually literature here? Literature is a verbal work of art that represents in life. Sorry, do my voice is clear? Is my voice clear?
Yes, Ibu. So clear. Go on, please.
Okay, sorry. Wait a minute. Okay. Literature is a verbal word of art that represents life in its purest meaning. So we deals with some works of literature here, and it's considered canonical, that is culturally representative of a particular genre. So there are kinds of literature that deals with the poetry, prose, yeah, plays, drama. Okay, and this is the works of the literature. Kinds of the drama. Take for example, we have made some dialogues, yeah, and then also designed to be performed, just like on a stage, yeah, or just like now we have in a pandemic era, we can see the drama by live streaming. And poetry is also one of the literature works here. It deals with the open form and closed form, relies on imagery, figurative languages, and sound. It attracts the readers to activate their imagination to get the meanings of the poetry. And also we have prose for the fiction and non-fiction ones. Yeah, for example, we have myth here, fables, novel, or short stories, yeah, that include in the fiction prose. And also for the non-fiction ones, something like news, journals, etc. So those kind of literatures becomes the foundation for getting the new literacies. Sorry, there's a problem in my computer. Okay, now how to form these literary genres into the new literacies. New literacies here emphasize on the epochal change in everyday technologies and its associated cultural practices. As we know that in the old traditions of the literacies, students only read and then they take a look at the printed book. Yeah, but now it changes from time to time. The new literacies extend beyond the conventional view of literacy as a printed and written text and includes meaning making practices using digital technologies. Yeah, take for example, we see video games, weblogs, yeah, mobile text, etc. And also explore the changes of belief to literacy in the process of practices. And what is actually the new literacy contracts? Yeah, there are two kinds of new things in new literacies. The ones deals with the technical stuff and also the new of ethos stuff. Yeah, here the technical stuff includes the technological innovation and the developments in the modern society. So we know that the progress is already changes a lot for the technology. So we want this or not, we have to be familiar with the use of technology, and we have to develop ourselves, yeah, to the higher technology, and also the actors of staff. The new actor staff constitutes of the beliefs and practices of new literacies. So it refers to a new belief or the mindset to see the world has changed fundamentally due to the utilization of new technologies, rather than using new tools to do the works only in more technologized ways. So we have to be familiar with the changes in using the new technologies. Okay, here I give you some types of literacies. So we have already known some terms here about digital literacy and then media literacy. Uh, what digital technology is used to locate, organize, understand, or evaluate and create the information. So we deal with the digital literacy. And for the media one, you can interpret, yeah, the techniques and also how to understand the media. Yeah, how do media methods manipulate and affect social development? So nowadays, the social media is the main source of information. Yeah, and the cultural literacy. How do you understand text in relation to their context? Yeah, and also we get the financial literacy deals with the judgment of the financial, and then scientific literacy, informational, and also about critical literacy. Now we go to further for the concept of how to make this literacy as the foundation to the the literature as the foundation of the new literacies. We have 4 points here for the type of the literature. Those are poetry, story, yeah, comics, and also drama. These 4 kinds of the literature will be discussed further to be the foundation of the new literacies. We'd like to have one of those type. This is about the drama. This of drama and building new literacies. So actually, what is drama? We have already known about this one. Yeah, drama is closely in the development of literacy. It deals with the speaking and listening skill. It enhances through drama strategies. Also about role play and improvisation, and by exchange of opinions and negotiation that actually occur in group activities. So drama provide the context to improve writing skills, to develop realistic dialogue, and to extend vocabulary. And improvisation and storytelling develop student understanding of narrative structure with a consequent impact on speaking and writing skills. So we are going to see how drama uh, can turn us to new literacies. First here, I see from the articles, yeah, about the process drama and digital game as text and action in virtual words, develop new literacies in school. So this is about some kinds of visual aids, yeah. This article draws on 2 literacy models, that is 3D literacy model and digital gaming, to explore the intersection between process drama and digital gaming and the educational possibilities for English or literacy education of both. And 3D literacy models to develop shared vocabulary about literacy. So, how drama helps students in gaining the new literacies by sharing the vocabularies and some techniques used in the process of drama. And new technologies here to develop categories to classify aspects of literacy experience using computer games in the classroom. So this is about the skill in computer literate, how students are encouraged, yeah, to use the technology to develop themselves in literacies. And here's the process of the drama. When we take a look at this table, we see how the steps happens. These episodes for practicing teacher using some images from Bob Graham's picture book. The title is How to Deal with the Broken Wing. Here we take a look for each episode. The participant took on the role of different people from the images and moved around the space. So they will have their own characters, yeah. Then the teacher co-created an image of the injured bird and moved around the space again. For the next episode is based on the image of a small boy, the name is Will, who noticed the bird and his mother who tries to lead him away from it. So they will begin for each episodes, and then in pairs the participant reenacts that scene silently, feeling the tension between the two characters. The process will be mapped for something like this one into the games as the text and the action model. I only take some parts of this result. For example, we take a look at the action for the situation. For the games, the players, non-player, and the technology and the context also. And next, they go to the process of the drama. The choice of the dramatic form and the compositional developing characters, choosing courses of action, and then the scenes and the community management and also the reflection. So this is kinds of the process drama that links to the new literacies, how to make students get the experience, yeah, in getting their literacy ability. And next, what actually this literature comes into the new literacies. We have three big points, yeah, beside the drama that I have explained before. We have also other kinds of type of the literature that be the foundation of the new literacies. The first is poetry, story, and comics. So what are in the poetry? Here, the voice brought into the performance is the global voice. Yeah, and spoken words in the poetry has proven that poetry can be made global by the use of technology. We can see nowadays, yeah, some kinds of poetry written in social media, or even we can what's that? Listen, yeah, to the poetry read by the poet, yeah, or some people, and they spread out in social media. The global participatory is enabled through live streaming, and it involves direct responses and feedback. So you may directly give the response, yeah, for that poetry on social media. So they use technology to spread the poetry or even to read and to write the poetry. What about story? Yeah, just okay, stories. Uh, it also relates to the culture. We find it in our surroundings, and from generation to the next generation, stories even be heard from by oral communication. Here, the ability to enhance the arts in education and motivate students to connect with their learning. So we connect them not only to what's that? To read the stories, but also they can learn something from this one. In my city, actually, we have Kampung Dongeng, in which this dongeng, yeah, the stories come from the culture of the city, and it spreads for all of the schools, yeah, from the very basic level, so for example, for the kindergartens to the higher level of schools, and they collect some stories. They make the audio book for this one, and they also make it what is spread not only for the written but also for the spoken one. And even for the next project, in public places they will play for the audio story from the local cultures. That's very interesting to learn literacies not only by reading but also listening to some kinds of sources based on the new technology. And implementing storytelling in the classroom will give benefits for reading and writing achievements. The next type is comics. It promotes negotiation and communication in language and second language, yeah, and also promotes creativity and high-level critical thinking skills, independence of thought, and diversity of opinions. So we see that here sometimes we find kinds of figurative languages in poetry or in the story under the comics, then we try to express our imagination to understand the meaning of these kinds of literature. So it also includes our ability to understand, because the meaning sometimes is not in our mind, yeah, it beyond our expectation or beyond our imagination, and it brings about the new things, yeah, or new phenomena of the meaning that we can take at the poetry, story, or comics, because those are very interesting for us in the literature. Even me myself, yeah, uh, I have to work hard to understand the content or the meaning of the poetry, but Bu Sonia is a very expert, yeah, in making the poetry and giving the meanings clearly. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much for kind attention, and I give it back to Pa Darin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Yuvita. Great explanations of your topic, yeah. Literature as a foundation. And now we know together that what literature is and what new literacies are. Okay, everyone, before we continue our discussion for the next speaker, I just give information for you all. If you are interested in this topic and you want us give questions, please write down your questions on the chat box. Or I want to give the second option. The second option is you can directly ask your questions, but I will give chance in the last minute of the session. So again, I want to give you two options for asking the question. First, write down on chat box, or ask your question directly by spoken, but I will give this chance on the last minutes of this session. Thank you very much. Okay, now we are waiting for the second speaker. The second speaker is Ibu Sonia MPD, and she will explain about from poetry to global literacies. Okay, thank you very much, and time is yours, Ibu Kare.
Good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, Ibu Puji. Thank you for the chance given to me to present my topic from poetry to global literacies. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
I can, Mbak Sonia. Maybe still in
No,
progress.
Okay. Already? No?
Not yet, Pak Sonia.
no.
Okay. Okay. Now it's opening. Ready? No?
No.
But it's opening, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
While Ibu okay.
Uh,
Still on processing.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
everyone. Thank you very much for your participants. Okay.
Already?
Yes, Ibu Kade.
Okay.
Yes, Mbak Sania.
Okay, thank you. I would like to start my explanation on poetry by reading a favorite line, my favorite line from William Shakespeare, "To be or not to be, that is the question." Have you ever heard about that line? Yeah, that is a famous line in the script of Hamlet, the soliloquy delivered by Hamlet in the script written by William Shakespeare. So to be or not to be, that is the question. What is behind these lines? Actually, there are a lot of meanings inside it. What do we want to be in the future? Who do you wish to be in the future? Why do you wish to be like that? Or why don't you wish to be like that? What is your purpose in life? What is your preference? What is your choice? That is a meaning of this very line. Yeah, and maybe a lot of questions can arise from very simple line, yet very powerful line. That is the power of poetry. From one line only, we can learn a lot, that we are giving more meaning than what it is stated. That is the power of poetry. Now I will continue with the definition of poetry. Lawrence Perrin, in his book, Sound and Sense, which is very popular, an introduction to poetry, poetry is defined as a kind of language that says more and says it more intensely than does ordinary language. So if we have ordinary language as a means of communication, we have poetry as the representation of arts, as the representation of life, which is made in lines, stanza, and metaphors. Yeah. Okay. What are the elements of poetry? Why do we learn about poetry? Yeah. So the elements of poetry are many. Yeah. Among them are lines. Lines are composition of words arranged in such a way to make a meaningful lines. And then stanza is a composition of lines. Yeah, and then rhymes, the ending of every lines. Usually it is the same ending in every line, which is called rhyme. And then rhythm is the music of the poetry, and then meter is the pause and the stress of the poetry. And then figurative language, the metaphor, the language that we use to portray the meaning. And then, of course, without vision and voice, we cannot make a poetry. What is vision? Vision is actually the goal of the poetry itself. And the voice is the message that the poet wants to share to the world. So there are so many elements that it is not easy to compose a poetry. It's not an easy task at all. Okay, to put in context, I would like to read a poetry of my own. The title is "Look, Tonight is Not Fine." Look, tonight is not fine, as you always think. It was a lie. Tonight is fine, not as always true. Woman cannot hide sadness, true. Woman can hide herself, not her dreams, true. Woman can be mean, can be true, can be wrong, can be bad, can be mysterious, can be everything she wants, true. Woman always smiles, lie. Woman always loving and caring, lie. Woman is controllable, lie. Woman is humorous, partly true. Woman is cynical, not woman, I am true. Singaraja, November 1, 2013. Okay, so from that poetry, you can hear my voice. Whose voice is that? Is that my voice, your voice, or others' voice? Later we will find out. Okay, the second one is No Turning Back. If freedom is free, I will write freely. I will write a poem about a Balinese woman, a woman who knows prison better than prisoners, a woman who hangs herself and fails, a woman who cries every day and stays strong, a woman who gets a blame and remains calm, a woman who raises a family and gets black magic, a woman who does everything and gets nothing. If freedom is free, I will shut them up. I will write even more than a poem. I will write a history about our tears and angers within. I will write a telltale about real life. I will write a destiny on my own. If freedom is free, I will burn the disasters. I will burn the habits. I will burn the entire bullshit. Only if freedom is free, I will rise and speak in front of God. We are not free. We are not free. Free us. Free us. Only if freedom is free, I will not be here. Singaraja, September 6, 2016. So from those two poems, we can see that a poem is made based on vision and voice. You cannot easily write a poetry. You have to think about what is the vision behind it, what is the metaphor that you want to use, why do you use it, and for what purpose, to what audience. So it is very complicated. Okay, so I will continue to the power of poetry. The first one is it touches our feelings and emotion. It stimulates our awareness and sensitivity. It stimulates language development and creativity. It inspires, it educates, it entertains, it empowers, and then it helps unheard voices to be heard. It helps uncover cultural and personal issues to be brought global. It moves the society. It heals the society. You may know that so many poets have changed the world in Indonesia as well, not only in global context, but in Indonesia, there are so many poets that can change the world, especially in our world here, also in Indonesia. So I will mention some of the poets who I think changed the world. The first, of course, William Shakespeare, with his works, not only in poetry, but also in drama, with scripts, with so many things he wrote in the past, but that his work are still alive until today, still performed, still analyzed, still being discussed everywhere. So a poet is always, having longer time life, yeah, rather than just lifetime, but they live longer than their age, yeah. And then we know Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. Who doesn't know? Robert Burns, A Red, Red Rose, a classical poem, yeah. Oh, my life is like a red, red rose who strongly in June. Oh, my love is like a melody, something like that. And then Sylvia Plath with Mirror. Oh, I love that poetry so much. And then Walt Whitman, Oh Captain, My Captain, which is filmed in a Dead Poet Society, which is so amazing. And then we have also, of course, the feminist Black woman, Maya Angelou, with Still I Rise. This is a quote from Still I Rise that I love so much. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I will rise. Yeah, actually, this is a long poetry, but I take only this part. I love the idea of whatever happens to us, especially for women, we will be rising again. We will rise again and again. So that's very powerful. And then now I will move you to a contemporary young poet, Amanda Gorman, which is very famous. She went viral and global. If you knew, she performed in an inauguration of Joe Biden's presidential inauguration. She performed there with the poem, which is so inspiring, The Hill We Climb. And this is the poetry. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slave and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. Yeah, this is also only a part of her long poetry, her long, beautiful poetry. She went global, she went viral because it can, inspire many young poets who also have talents like her. So yeah, actually we will move to what happened in the shift between poetry in the past and poetry in the now. What I mean by poetry in the past is poetry in the, in the literacy era, and then poetry in the new literacies era, because we have two times here. The first one is literacy without new, and then now we have new literacy. How are they different? Yeah. So in short, in the past, we can say that we celebrate published poets. So if you have book, then you are considered as a poet. But now we don't need to have books. Yeah, we just share our poetry in social media, and if you are talented and you are good enough, you can be famous as poet. Yeah, you don't need to be publishing book. You just share what you write. Yeah. So in the now we create poets by finding new voices, new stories, and made by their own. Yeah. As a lecturer, I myself experienced teaching poetry in my class and help them finding their voice. Actually, they have their voice already, but they are sometimes not feeling that they have the voice. Actually, they have the voice, but they don't know how to find it. Yeah. So in 2020, just last year, I made a research on mindful learning in poetry class, and the treatment enabled the students to write their own voice through poetry. So this is the example of how the mindfulness treatment in poetry course enabled them to make a poetry. Of course, this is maybe not a perfect one. This is not a perfect poetry, but from somebody or from a person who never knows how to write poetry, to become a person who knows how to write poetry. For me, this is a big achievement. This is Stressed Out by Niputu Eva Agustinisari. You can read it maybe in 1 minute. Yeah. Actually, we wrote it in the beginning of pandemic of COVID-19. Yeah. We wrote this in the classroom where the pandemic just begun. Okay, so this is the result. And the second one is this one by Gede Hermawan Adiprayoga. The title is Ambivalent. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So from those two poetries, yeah, we can understand that there are connected feelings. Yeah, connected feelings here means there is a slight of similar sadness, similar silence, similar longing to someone. Yeah, something like that. Does it relate to the pandemic of COVID-19? Yeah, I think yes, it could be. Yeah, it could be, because at that time everybody was not going to campus. They're remaining at home, and it stimulates their creativity and thinking that silence and everything inside their hearts. Yeah. And we think that this is not only personal voice. Yeah, it could be our voice as well. Yeah, we feel lonely when the pandemic happened. Okay, so yeah, I would like to introduce you to two of my friends. They are young poets. They are very celebrated in social media. They are celebrity in Instagram. Actually, this is in the left, Helena Natasha. Helena Natasha is an Instagram poet. Yeah, I happened to met her in Ubud Writers and Readers Festival in 2019. And on the right side is Lala Bohang. Yeah, so both of them are famous poets, and they have huge followers on Instagram. So I want to put emphasis that in new literacies, everything is possible. Yeah, that like what I said previously, that you don't have to publish books, but you have to publish your poetry and you put it in Instagram. And when public loves it, and you suddenly become a real poet. Yeah. But Helena, Natasha, and Lala Bohang, those what is it? Those poets are very good poets. Yeah? I have read their works, and their works are amazing. Okay, so yeah. Now we move to spoken word world. Yeah, if what I mentioned before is written word poet. Yeah, now we have spoken word poet. Yeah, what is the difference between written word poet and spoken word poet? So actually, written word poet is they write poetry but not performing it. Yeah, they write it just to share in the form of publication in book. Yeah, but in a spoken word poet, yeah, they perform the poetry, like what I performed just now. That is considered as performance of spoken word poetry. Yeah, this is me when I perform the spoken word in Unspoken Poetry Slam in Ubud in 2019. Yeah, before the pandemic. And this is a black girl. I think she's from Jamaica, and this is also another famous poet. Yeah, if I explain one by one, I think I will be running out of time. Okay, so I have a research on spoken word poetry, Jones and Carwood in 2020, tell the story, speak the truth, creating a third space through spoken word poetry. So the finding of the research is so interesting. At least there are two findings that is so important. The first one, that the students of spoken word treatment, yeah, there are 14 public schools which are treated. The students are given treatment by mentor poets, and in 6 weeks they can write their own and they can perform. And the findings is so interesting that they find their voice and space. So spoken word is considered as third space, yeah, not a classroom but third space, yeah. In which they are free to say something, to speak anything, and especially about their cultural identity. Yeah. Second, they are not afraid to scream and to show their true identity. Some of them are very shy in the first in the first stage to say that they have what is it, something with their identity, like they are considered as LGBT, but then through a spoken word they can feel what is it, safe to say that they are different. Yeah. So it reflects the ethos of the third space where dominant paradigms are without privilege there. Yeah. So there is no dominant paradigms here. There is no existence of dominant dominant paradigm. Yeah. And students are free to express themselves. Yeah. And to state their identity. That is the power of spoken word poetry in that research. Yeah, Jones and Carwood, 2020. So now I will relate this with new literacies ethos. Yeah, as stated by Nobel and Langsher in 2014, the new ethos in new literacies are more participatory, collaborative, and distributed, and less published, less author-centric, and less individual than conventional literacies. So there is no, what is it, center author, yeah, in the era of new literacies. There is no single voice. There is never single and central voice in the era of new literacies. Yeah, there's always a collaborative and then a participatory and a distributed voice. Yeah. So nowadays, the poets have been in this ethos where they what is it, where they are freely share their works in social media and got instant feedbacks. Okay, so I will relate also to global meaning making by Tierney in 2018 in the context of poetry. Yeah, there are so many dimensions mentioned by Tierney in 2018 that relates to the context of poetry. The first one is interrupting existing frames. There is no single existing frame actually in poetry. Poetry has always have the rule to make a new rule. Yeah. So if there is an existing frame, poetry should raise question on why that existing frame there. Yeah, why? Yeah, what happened? Yeah, we should be very critical in poetry. And then decolonizing spaces, adapting, translanguaging, fusing, border crossing. Yeah, this is promoting local global voice. There is no single voice now, but it is always local global. And then reading self. Poetry is self-reading, self-reflection, what is it? Mindfulness, in which we always want to share what we have in mind, what we have in our soul to be shared. Yeah. And then shifting to an ecology of eclecticism. Okay, so this is very important dimension shared by Tierney, that shifting to an ecology of eclecticism means that we put poetry in the context of diverse culture. There is no single culture that is dominant over the other culture. So this is a shifting to an ecology of eclecticism. And then indigenizing, fusing local voice and culture, and then being mindful. I have already told you that reading self is also mindfulness. And then being activist or actionist. Yeah. In the new literacy and global meaning making, we have to act, we have to move, we have to do something in order to achieve something, and we do it together. And last but not least, this is the most important thing, is that we have to seek for truth, yeah, or even post-truth, yeah, because poetry always seeks for truth, and there is no single truth, so we have to find it over and over. And then now we move to Global Literacies by Paulo Freire, Reading the World in Cabin 2012. There are some dimension in global literacies. First is critical thinking, in which poetry stimulates it. And then critical approaches toward the use of new technologies, in which poetry is published through technology in these new literacies. And then respect and tolerance for diverse others. All voice is respected and all difference is welcome and celebrated. That is also a part of part of the power of poetry, where tolerance and diversity is celebrated. Yeah. And then communication with others. Poetry cannot live alone now. They live within a global changing world that he or she must communicate with others, and cares for continual self-reflection and growth. Poet never stop learning. Yeah, poet never stop reading. Poet never stop asking. Poet never stop learning and studying new things. Yeah. Okay, now we go to one more slide. This is about critical global literacies in Yoon et al. 2018. So I put these critical global literacies in the context of poetry, because we have global literacies, we have critical global literacies, in which this is more, this is more specific on developing global awareness with an interconnected world concept, and then making connection from personal to a global level, and then analyzing and critiquing text from global and cross-cultural perspective. Here in critical global literacies, the point is that you make connection from personal to global level. So personal voice here becomes global voice, and poetry is an interconnected world concept. And the last is promoting social and political action on global and multicultural issues, in which poetry bring about social and political choices, and therefore it can bridge the voice of a poet to a global voice. So when you write poetry, actually you bring your voice out, and that is a political action. Okay, so the conclusion is, we can take relation to all of this, that poetry is not only a verbal work of art, but a voice to be heard. And not only personal voice, but a global voice that can lead us to grow, to new literacies, to make global meaning making, and to contribute in global literacies. Okay, this is my references to support my presentation. It's quite a lot, so thank you so much for your kind attention. I give it back to Pak Darin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Kade. Wow, unbelievable, unpredictable. Okay, I couldn't imagine your voice before, so I love it. Even I do not understand what you have read just now, but I love it. Your voice looks like a singer of Indonesian Idol. Do you know Indonesian Idol? Okay, forget it. Okay, forget it. Well, again, I just give you information again that if you have a question, please write down on the chat box. But we will answer your question after the explanations of this topic. So we will answer all questions on the chat box after presentation. Okay, well, thank you very much. And now we got to the third speaker. We have Ibu Lulut Widyaningrum. She will explain about the power of story on literacy development. Okay, Ibu Lulut, time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Darin, for introducing me to our beloved audiences this afternoon. Okay, Bu Sonia, would you please to stop share? Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so I hope it is readable for all of you. Can you see the slide?
Yes, Bu Lulut.
Okay, okay, thank you. Well, for this lovely opportunity, I would like to present the power of stories in. I love this topic actually because as Indonesian people, especially me as a Japanese people, I grew up with many stories in my life. So my grandma usually tell me stories. So my mother also loved to share the story with me. So this is great topic for me also. Then this is I put also my email there if you have any further questions later. Well, let's begin this the presentation. Well, let me begin with the notion that the employees in the 21st century need to have greater literacy skill than in other periods, as the average job requires literacies in the area of technology, as well as traditional forms of reading, writing, and communicating, as it is stated by Miller and Pennycuff in 2008. As also explained a lot by the previous presenters, that the skills of literacy include not only reading and writing, but also responding appropriately to a variety of messages, included emails, also pictures and text that convey meanings to others, and then the ability to persuade, inform, and express our emotions. So the text is in many forms. Okay. Well, why storytelling? Because this is the activities that can motivate even the most reluctant reader and writer. I believe that everybody loves story. Everybody at every age love story, yeah, love to hear story. So building on the synergetic relationship between language in an interactive way, teachers and students can use storytelling to improve literacy learning. I have the same belief on this, the idea. Okay. Well, through the active engagement, story can be used as a very great pedagogical strategy to strengthen reading comprehension. Yeah, reading comprehension, as stated by Craig Hall, Haggard, and Crowder in 2001. Then, what is the process of the learning then? You can have the comprehension, critical listening, and thinking skills combining with the storytelling. You can support it that by the questioning, imagery, inferencing, and retelling. So the two notions, the best practice, I will explain more about this by Clo 2008 on how to incorporate storytelling into their literature reading in the classroom. And also this is learning from experience. This is my classroom project actually in a speaking class. Dated back at 2015 or 2016, I guess, yeah. It's quite long. This is Picha Kucha or Pichacha presentation space storytelling. Okay, this is the instructional designs proposed by Black 2008 as their best practice. The process began with the students read 5 different stories. Of course, as teachers, you have to provide the stories that the students can access and find they would like to tell. Yeah, find they would like to tell. They choose one story and find they would like to tell. After that, students tell the story to a partner and followed by the checking whether they miss any detail in a story, yeah, to make the story more meaningful. After that, the listener partner offer positive feedback or suggestions to make the storytelling better. Okay, these activities really, I think it's really great to promote the collaborative and also you can teach us also more values like respecting others. After getting the positive feedback, then the storytellers are ready to begin telling the stories to the class. Okay, this is the general idea what the Black propose, yeah, dealing with the incorporating stories in reading. Okay. Next is about learning from the experience. Pichacha mediated storytelling. You can see some pictures. This is, I just select work actually. Just try to get the picture from them. Okay, Pichakucha is 20-second automated pictorial slides within a program such as PowerPoint. So you can use just simple PowerPoint actually, where each automated slide contains no word, yeah, contains no word, but only pictures, photos, or graphic. So image only, yeah. So the speaker has to speak 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So you can, every students get 6 minutes and 40 seconds. I think this activity is quite challenging at that time because the timing style of the Pechakucha are aimed at improving students' presentation, where the automatizations and fast pace of the slide force the one who is going to give presentation to be organized so that each slide message can be captured. Okay. Selama 6 menit 40 detik, they have to do this presentation, image only presentation, and diatur gitu ya, waktunya diatur setiap slide 20 detik. So you can imagine how students create their story. Okay, so, and what should I say dealing with the picture, for example? How many sentences should I provide for each sentences? So this is quite challenging. Okay, this is the general instruction actually before students having the Pichakucha project. I present the stories, and then there are also this the process of analyzing the skeleton of their stories, and also the visual. yeah, the visual depicted in the story. So I try to do this semiotic analysis on their visual also, that it might help the students to understand better about the story. After that, I give them time to do the drafting of their pechakuta, and also in a process, of course, I give feedback because they still in the process of learning writing story. So maybe they have difficulties in, for example, grammar, maybe, or maybe their vocabulary. And after that, presenting the storytelling in front of the class, okay? Because at that time, it's still offline classroom. Okay. Next is about the storytelling and writing. Uh, in the writing classroom, storytelling usually based on the telling of narrative by the teacher or the students, with the intention of eventually recording the story in written form. This pedagogical strategy easily links to a narrative form of writing, but can also help students with other types of writing. So the two areas that the storytelling impact to improve students' writing is, the first is the use of language, okay, the use of language. The benefit of using storytelling prior to writing is that students are given an opportunity to develop language about their story and get feedback from others before writing. Yeah, and then in the process also they are selecting language for their personal writing. Students participating in storytelling are also exposed to new vocabulary that is used by the teacher or other. Of they learn the new vocabulary. Okay. The storytelling prior to writing also serves to help students organize their story. When they hear the story, of course, they have to understand the skeleton of their story. It can help them a lot. Okay. And the second one is the identifications of.
Kemarin belum kan potong poni, ini potong rambut baru.
Okay.
Cantik.
Yeah, identifications of the
Sorry, everyone.
audience.
Please unmute
Okay.
your. Hello, everyone. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Go
thank
on.
you, Pak Darin. Thank you. Okay. Well, the second area is the identifications of the audience. The students can then decide what style of language to use to appeal to the audience and the type of the story being told. Yeah, and then in addition to understanding how they want the audience to react, students also became more aware of the listeners or the reader's role in creating a story. Yeah, that's the two areas of the storytelling impacted to writing. Okay, here the best practice for the literacy development from Watanabe and Kenyon in 2011. The title is Improving Young Children's Writing, the Influence of Story Structure on Kindergarten Writing Complexity. I only insert the guided writing step there. The first is think. So the teacher asks the students to think or imagine what they are going to have, then tell to their friends, and then try to draw, followed by their writing, and then sharing. This is the examples because they are in kindergarten. Okay, so you can see the development of their writing from the very simple one. Okay, maybe it is not really readable, yeah, for adult like us, but this is readable for them maybe, yeah. This is I actually the students try to write I went to the beach, yeah. Try to write that. Okay, and then in the next development they try to have a more complex written form. Okay, so this is again the learning from experience. Let's say, if I'm not forget, this is my collaboration with the teacher in Yogyakarta, Semarang, and in Kalimantan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we try to use the visual to help students to write narrative at that time. Okay, so we provide the sets of the pictures. Then, okay, so we also provide with the what we call as a lembar kerja siswa. Yeah, this because this is for the SMP students. So what they have to do is put the correct picture that depicted, that belong to a certain generic structure. So they have to choose their picture, and then whether they want to put it as a orientation, for example, complications, resolutions, or reorientations, and to try to understand their picture for the events. I try to give, I will try to give the questions from who is in the characters or who is the pictures, where is it and what happened. After that, of course, the discussion is running long because we might have that certain groups also have to revise their works, yeah, before they're writing. What about the writing form? The writing form is belong to the individual writing. So after they have the left one, their column, they do it in a group, and then personally they have to write and they develop their own story. Okay. Well, writing and oral language should all be used to examine literacy development, like what I've previously explained. That from storytelling to writing, from reading to the storytelling, that's should be examined carefully. Okay. Choosing appropriate stories and concern about the students' ability to effectively tell a story and the need to understand the purpose of storytelling in education is badly needed. Yeah, it's really wonderful actually to be considered. And the storytelling also should become a part of their strategies studied in teacher preparation programs, so that teachers are prepared to implement storytelling with reading and writing instructions. Well, this is my references list, and let's tell a story. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, Pak Darin, and the audiences.
Okay, good presentation. Thank you, Ibu Lulut.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
welcome, Pak Darin.
you have explained about storytelling. Oh, I am interested in storytelling. But for all participants, if you have questions about this topic, please write down your questions on the chat box. Thank you. And before we listen carefully for the last speaker, but not least, I just want to give you information that please unmute your audio while the speakers presenting the explanations of the topic. Again, I'm just sorry, please unmute your audio while the speakers presenting the presentation. Thank you. Okay, now, last but not least, let's call the last speaker, Ibu Ika Yanti Zaskia to explain about the use of comic to promote new literacies. Okay, times for you, Ibu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darin. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, so clear, Ibu.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Bu Puji, and good afternoon, all the audiences here. I'm as the last speakers. My topic is the use of comics to promote new literacies. Well, I will begin my presentation with this illustration. This picture show us how comics can improve the motivation of students, especially. We can see here that the child get bored with the conventional book, and his father try to overcome this problem, and then he tried to redesign the book, the conventional book, into a comic, and then his son become happy again, and he said that reading is awesome. Next, the visual structure of comics. In its simple form, a comic is made up of two to three panels, black rectangles, which are called the frame, placed on a white background, or we can call the page. Each panel is possibly separated by a gather. A gather is an empty space designed for the specific purpose of splitting two images up. But in this figure or in this picture, we can see that there is no gather here because the frames overlap. But we can still argue that this is a kind of panel because the three images are separated by three frames also. Then this is the contents of the panels. There are two base content of panels in comics. The first one is the root, or the person or the character. This is usually all expressing something. And the second is the tail. You can see here that the tail is the small point expanding from the bubble, identifying who is expressing something or who is telling something. And the last is the carrier. The carrier here is the speech or the message delivered by the character or the person. Next, comics in relation to picture books. Actually, there are some statements related to these subtopics, but I just choose two here. First is from Sander, 2013. He argues that comic books are made for an individual reader, while picture books are intended for a reader who chaperones the words as they are communicated to listening reader. The second is from Hatfield and Swankin, 2012. They pursue a position between comics and picture books. Comics seems as empowering your readers, and picture books competing with or even abstracting. Now, comic as a visual literature, I take from McLeod, 1993. She stated that comics are multimodal textual visual form of literature that use semiotic, symbolic, and iconographic visual to communicate with the reader. This means that an analyst cannot approach comics as being, for instance, merely a textual literary form. The combination of text and image, perhaps the most common feature of comics, is not a clear-cut aspect of comics. Next, as a visual literature, image and text influences how we read, write, and understand comics, as well as our ability to use them as classroom materials. So, as I explained just now, that the technical literary aspect of comics, such as gather, panel structure, or visual aspect, make them interesting in their own right as a subject of literary analysis. Now, we have some reason why we use comic in English language classroom. The first is comics offer an enjoyable way to teach higher level of linguistic competence, such as pragmatic intelligence. In addition, the student comics can help the student to understand and appreciate humor and irony in the target language when we use comic in the classroom. The second, comics are particularly useful for teaching colloquial language and register. Sometimes when we read comics, we find, for instance, idiom, and then a slang, and many other new word or new vocabulary. Next, comics help promote best practice of communicative language classroom pedagogy by promoting the target language through student-centered work, variety group work, or discussion, and students' discovery. We can use comics in classroom by collaborative teaching or collaborative learning. The fourth here is comic in the language classroom inherently promote the use of higher level thinking skill. Well, if we constant on taxonomy Bloom, we as a teacher can consider choose some way how to teach English in classroom by consider the level thinking skill of our students. The last is comics can help students to improve skill in each of the four languages domains, not only in reading and writing ability, but also we can use comic in listening and speaking class. Here we have some techniques or way how to teach English by using comics. The first is creating comics. We may ask our students to generate their own comics. Maybe we can prepare or give them the template of the comics, and then they create a new comic based on their own ideas. The second is dialogue bubbles. Dialogue bubbles here. The activity can be in pairs or in groups. We remove one or two chunks or bubbles in the template, and then we ask the students to to fill in what probably conversation that should include in the chunk or in bubbles. The third is drama. Just now I said it. We use comic in language classroom not only for reading and writing, but also speaking. Drama is one way, is the extending strategy in using comics in the classroom. After reading the comics, we can ask our students to playing drama or maybe role play, and then we ask them to, we divide our student into some characters, and then they try to play the characters based on comics that they have read before. Then extending comics, the teacher also can use these ways. They can continue the story of the comics by they use their own ideas based on the character or story in comics. And here the answer of the student can be varied, because there are many ideas, or there are many story, ideas that they had to choose in creating the extending comics. Next is retelling comics. As a teacher, we can ask our students to retell the comic after they read, and then it is better if we do this activity by individually. The last is vocabulary and grammar clues. We prepare this activity by taking a comic first and then removing some words from the worksheet, and then ask the student to fill and what is it, write down the best or the probably conversation that should be right in the bubble. And then before I go to the conclusion, here I would like to tell you comics in relation to new literacies. The first one is cartoons have a permanent visual component because comic is one of visual textual, so maybe it's different with the conventional book. So many students interesting have fun with comic as teaching media in the classroom. The second is characters interact in here and now, meaning that you and me, not the him and her of narrative. Most of comic story based on narrative, so we can ask the students to write their experience in narrative story by read comic by read comic first. The third is characters are many of the paralinguistics aspect of interaction. Yeah, absolutely. In comics, we find many interaction of the characters. So we can ask the students to know or to analyze all the characters appears in their reading. The last language lies about halfway between real spoken English and written English. Written English. So comics let us to learn about spoken English and written English. So here we move to the conclusion. Comics are natural for the communicative language classroom. They promote negotiation and communication in the second language, practice in all four language domains, creativity and higher level critical thinking skills, independence for thought, and diversity of opinion. Students of all ages and abilities find comics fun, interesting, and motivating. And also for teachers, they offer opportunities to bring target language culture and authentic language into the classroom. Here my references for my presentations. Thank you very much. I give it back to Mr. Darren as moderator.
All right, good. Good presentation from the last speaker, Ibu Ika Yanti Zaskia. Well, now time is Q&A, question and answer session. Wow, we have many questions here in the chat box. And I will read the questions first from Mega Mulyaning. Ibu Yuvita, thank you for the presentation. Talking about the Kampung Dongeng, as you have mentioned, could you share the non-literacies implementation in Kampung Dongeng? This is for Ibu Yuvita. Ibu
Okay,
Yuvita?
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Pak Darin. Thank you for the question, Ibu Mega. Okay, this is just for the examples that I mentioned before for the new literacies coming from literature. So one of it is about storytelling. Yeah, in Kampung Dongeng, it is a community for this is a society community in our region that the new literature is built by giving storytelling. This is not contest, but some activities, storytelling activities to students. Yeah, and this community runs for some schools, from the very basic level, so for example, kindergarten schools to the higher level. But now they have already covered more than 100 schools at the city. So children love stories by watching. Yeah, first watching from the what we call it, the storyteller. And because of the pandemic era, they see or they watch not directly, but they can find in the platform of Zoom chat, for example, or from the YouTube. So they connect the ideas of technology in creating the new literacies. So here the community try to creates the activities by using the technology. So they do not stop telling stories to children especially. And also some kinds of other activities like reading the books, reading books also for children and for public, and they create it in a digital platform. Okay, I think that's, but for further activities, we can contact me. We have also a project with this community to build a audio book, to make a digital activities for telling stories, and it can be enjoyed by other people, not only for the regional region aspect, but also for out of the region. I think that's Bu Mega.
Ibu Mega, is that clear? Ibu
Yes,
Mega?
Mr. Darren. Yeah,
Okay.
I got it.
Darren.
Thank you.
Darren.
Oh, Darren.
Darren.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you for the questions, Ibu Mega. Now let's go to the second questions from Mifti Nabila. Thank you, Miss Kade. Mrs. or Mrs. Kade? Which one is correct, Ibu Kade?
Mrs.
Are you
Mrs.
single? Oh, Mrs. Sorry. I think you are single. Well,
Oh,
thank
I
you.
see.
Thank you, Mrs. Kade, for the great presentation. My name is Mifti Nabila from Pancasakti University. In this challenge, I would like to ask something related to this. I love your poetry and I know how you read the poet, and I always found myself found in this thing. Sometimes there is a time where I really want to publish and showing my inner voice, but I think I have no confidence to do that. Is there any way to push myself to have that thing? Thank you. Look at it. Your
Thank
times,
you.
your turn to answer.
Thank you, Mifti Nabila from Pancasakti University. Salam kenal. I love to know that you are interested in writing poetry, but this is my tip for you. If you want to write poetry, is the first thing to do is to find reason why you should write it. Find reason. Find vision, reason and vision, because you cannot write if you don't have that strong reason. I write because say for example you want to write about yourself. You ask yourself, why do you need to write it? Has anyone written about it? Has anyone have ever written it? Or is there something new that you offer? If you find strong reason, you will write no matter what. Nobody will say no to you but yourself. You can say yes to yourself, you can say no to yourself. It's up to you. But first of all, find reason why you have to write. Yeah, if you find that reason, then it is very easy. Yeah, you don't need to push yourself. No need, no need. You will love it because you think you find your goal. Yeah. And you don't need to what is it, you don't need to push yourself. If you don't want to write it now, it could be later. Maybe you don't have a strong reason yet. Yeah, find the reason and why you should write it. Like for example, I was once in a what is it, in a time where I don't feel I need to write, then I will not write. But if I feel the need is there, I have to write it, and I will write it. I don't wait for others to push me. Like that, yeah, Ibu Mifti Nabila, it's more on your internal motivation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope Ibu Mifti or Mbak Mifti are you are satisfied from the answers of Ibu Kadek, ya, not Mbak, ya, because she is not single anymore. Okay. Okay, well, now we are going to the third question here. Wow, very interesting questions and more questions for Ibu Kadek. But sorry, I have to change the question to the next speakers, third speakers or fourth speakers. Okay. Sorry. Wait. Okay. Okay. From Prila Rohmawati Ningsih, MPD. Wow, great name, I think. Thanks for the wonderful explanation. Referring to Ibu Lulut's presentation about best practice in integrating stories for promoting literacy development for students, this activity refers to the strategies suggested by GLS, Gerakan Literasi Sekolah. Then, what do you think about the promoting new literacies in higher education? Thanks, Prila from the Rio City, Ponorogo. Okay, that's from Bu Prila, and these questions for Ibu Lulut. Okay, Ibu Lulut.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Pak Darwin, and also Puprila from Kota Reok. Yeah. Okay, gerakan literasi sekolah is widely known in a level of elementary school and also in SMP. Now, what about in higher education? In our department, jurusan pendidikan bahasa, Bu, we realize also the role of the literature, ya, sastra gitu, sebagai alat untuk pembelajaran bahasa juga. So in our new curriculum, we try to put more on literary works in what so called as extensive listening and speaking, and also extensive reading and writing. So we put a lot of literary works there. That's the format of including the literary works in our curriculum. This is our new curriculum, Ibu Prila. So we still learn a lot about this, but some of us also in department also involved in a gerakan literasi sekolah sebagai pendamping juga, Ibu Prila. So we try to bring the atmosphere into higher education. This is the answer also in line with what questions about the choosing of their story. Sekalian saya jawab gitu ya, karena berhubungan berkaitan dengan sastra, should the student choose their story that their teacher choose? No, because they have the right to choose actually in extensive listening and extensive reading. So they have to access different kind of stories that they feel confident, they feel comfort with their story. Their story, the teacher present is just for the example. Okay, I hope this answer Bu Prila and also Bu Mega. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Ibu Lulut. I think that's clear explanations of that. Okay, well, I hope for the questionnaire, you are satisfied from the answers of the question. Okay, thank you. Now, we are going to speak, or sorry, put the four speakers, or the fourth question, I think, sorry, from Sheila Agnia Rizki. I hope I spell it correctly. Yeah, Agnia or Agnia. I don't know exactly. Okay, thank you for the good explanation. Refer to Ibu Ika's presentation on teaching using commands. Meet from the teacher's thoughts. Students may be more entertained and less bored in class. However, what do you think if a teacher is not good at drawing and how to solve it? Thank you in advance. Sheila Agnia Rizki from Pancasakti University, Tegal. Okay, to Ibu Yanti, time's yours.
Well, thank you very much, Pak Daran. Thank you very much, Sheila Agnia Rizki. Nowadays, we are in digital era, and if a teacher don't have ability in drawing, we can maybe you can find some pictures or template in internet, and then you bring it into the classroom. Then you prepare it as well as good, because we position ourselves that we are not good in drawing, but not only in the internet, but also we can ask our friends or our colleagues to help us to design or draw material that we will bring into the classroom. Actually, teaching English by using comic, not we not what is it? We just bring comics, and then we show to the students and related to the template. Maybe you may find another resources, and actually in laptop there are many what is it, manual picture that you can use, and then after that you reprint again. You just find ideas how the students or your learners what they will what they have to do by using the template you make before. Do I answer your question, Bu Agnia?
Ya, Ibu Sheila Agnia or Agnia
Ibu
ini?
Sheila. Ibu Sheila.
Agnia or Agnia? Okay.
Thank
no,
you, Pak Daran.
No, Sheila Agnia, I think. Okay, thank you. Means that Sheila Agnia is very proud of you, Ibu Yanti Zaskia. Okay, well, I'm so sorry because we have a limited times on the chat box. We have many questions on the chat box. So now we back turn to give the chance for you, give your question directly by oral, because I promise to you before that, I will give you two options. One of them is by direction. I think you can speak directly here. Ask your question. Okay. Okay, anyone?
Hello, may I try to give question?
Okay, great. Your name, please.
My name is Gede Swanya Swastika. I'm from English Language Education, Ganesha University of Education. So I would like
Yeah.
to say that thank you so much for Ibu Sonia. Your presentation is very great and I can understand about your explanation, which is about poetry. So I would like to give my experience during making poetry. So my problem is I cannot choose words that is match with my poetry, which is about my mistake, maybe, oh, this word is not relevant with my poetry. So how to solve the problem? I mean, would you like to give me information or suggestion how to improve my knowledge in choosing words or diction in making poetry? Thank you.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
great questions from Gede
Okay,
Suastika. Are you from
okay,
English department, Mas Kade?
Yes,
Mas Gede?
sir.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
great. Okay, come
okay.
yours,
So,
Ibu Kade.
yeah, I will answer your question briefly because we are running out of time. In the case of choosing diction or words, it is very related to experience. Yeah. Suadnya have to really understand that when you don't know how to find the perfect words, you need to what is it, to be patient with your with your willingness to write. Yeah, you have to wait until you find the perfect words. You do not push quickly, then the words may be not satisfying. You need to be patient because finding perfect words need timing, perfect timing. And plus you need to read more and then to experience more. By having more experience, you will be directly find perfect words in a faster way, because poetry needs practice, it needs exercise. You cannot push yourself to find perfect words while in fact it's not yet a perfect word. Okay, so there is no no single process in poetry. It's a always growing and developing one. Good luck, Soania. I hope that it can answer your question. Okay, keep on writing. Don't give up. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ibu.
Welcome.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, because we have limited times, so we are so sorry because we don't answer all the questions on the chat box. But do not worry about that. We will answer your questions, all the questions here on the YouTube link, because this YouTube, yeah, will be uploaded. Sorry, this link will be uploaded in the YouTube. So we will answer all the questions on the chat box. Do not worry about that. Okay, thank you very much. Before we close our discussion today, I just give the conclusion, one statements from the explanations of this topic. In fact, the literature plays an important role in constructing new literacies. I think that's the closing statement from the moderator. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for Ibu Puji Astuti, PhD, as a lecturers of UNIS, and thank you very much for the colleagues. Thank you very much for the external audiences or participants, all participants. Sorry, I cannot mention you one by one, but thank you very much for speakers for best speakers, and thank you very much all. Thank you. But before we end this section, I will give information for next literacy talk, part 3, will be held next week, or sorry, tomorrow. You can share, please, your poster here. Okay, we will invite you for all participants for the third literacy talk with the theme New Literacy, Media, Technology, and Education. And with that, yeah, Monday, April 19th, 2021. The time is 1 to 3 o'clock p.m. Don't miss it. We are waiting for your participants. Great, with that, great joining us. And thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Great presenter, Bu Ningsih.
Oke, Bu Nadia.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Foto dulu.
Foto.
Foto-foto dulu.
Foto, ayo. Foto.
Siapa yang foto nih?
Foto-foto.
Yang foto siapa, Bu?
Bu Nadia biasanya.
Oh, Bu Nadia.
Oh, iya.
Berapa slide, Bu Prila?
Ada 2, yang lainnya sudah pada live.
Ya, nunggu on semua ya kameranya.
Ya.
Udah. Ya, 1, 2, 3. Baru 1 slide, Bu Prila.
Oke. Next.
Bu Prila namanya diganti.
Bentar, slide berikutnya ya. Enggak on semua, Bu Prila. Oh, sudah. Ini enggak on semua kameranya.
Oke, dan saya juga sudah screenshot, Ibu.
Ya, makasih
Thank you,
semuanya.
great presenters, especially the
Makasih.
moderator.
Ya. Thank you semua.
Okay.
Bye.
Semuanya. Selamat.
Terima kasih, Bu Fani.
Thank you.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Pak Darin suaranya.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Nah,